Well, let's bring up younger blood. I'm just a big fan of this person. I really don't know that much about her, so I thought, get to know her where I get to know everyone else. She's out there in Brooklyn, tweeting away. She has like this amazing kind of like outlook. I mean, I've told you up here, like, where I'm at, which is like starting at zero, because I felt like I was like, you heard me. You can rewind my fucking stuff and you can hear me talking about things that are true, which is that the bipartisan system doesn't work. But now we all miss it very much. I do. I'll speak for myself. And I just kind of like, what's that sound? Why are you making that sound?
It was laughter. It was somebody laughed.
It's at the wrong time and it's the wrong kind. I am vulnerable.
Somebody was enjoying the show.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what happened to me after the election. I started experiencing vulnerability.
His name is Charlie Snopes.
I don't care. Oh, Mr. Snopes. From the New Hampshire Snopes. Actually, that's not true. We're not from New Hampshire. Those Snopes. Would you like some dip? That's not dip. Okay, getting annoying. Don't invite the Snopes over. Okay, look, this is I stalked her Facebook page when she was flying in today, and I was like, I don't know where I would go to the Facebook page, and I saw you can actually say things that are longer than on Twitter and stuff. This is from December 1st. This is shortly after the. Throughout the campaign and election, I felt that something was truly off about our institutions, the way people were absorbing and discussing politics, and the lack of discussion about policy. I thought for a while about the source of this problem and potential solutions, and I made a decision. I'm working on a project to develop the concept of citizenship. It's more than just knowing facts about the system, though I saw somewhere that only 36% of Americans can name the 3 branches of government. It's a series of habits that reinforce the ways a citizen absorbs information, participates in our system, and reacts to the decisions of those in power. It is not partisan in nature any more than the Constitution itself. It is about seeing politics at its core as identifying and solving problems. At the moment, too many see politics as a battle of dueling ideologies or degrading horrors. The concept of we the people being in charge of our own government and destiny is without faith and with few advocates. I want to rebuild that faith. We are our government. We can make decisions about our lives. We can take pride in accepting reality, even when it doesn't match our ideology. We can see how the media we consume biases our perceptions. We can fight self-serving perceptions with evidence and empathy. We can engage in identifying and solving our problems. We can engage in identifying and solving problems bigger than our individual lives, whether that is through government involvement or restraint. We can get honesty from our politicians about their plans, demand dignity and respect for the power they hold via their offices, and punish them with ouster when they fail to bring solutions. And she goes on, and I wanted to go on and on up here. So let's bring to the stage Kaitlin Byrd. The one thing I should have asked you backstage was, oh wait, am I supposed to use your real name, or did I just like...
No, it's good. I got doxxed. It's great. Hi, everybody. I'm doxxed.
No, but we can edit that out very easily. Okay. Because your meaningful identity to me is Gotham Girl. What's your Twitter handle?
Gotham Girl Blue.
Gotham Girl Blue. Where you have like 1,000 followers, which... I didn't do anything to earn 400,000. I did things that explain why I have them, but the things that you're doing in that corner of the internet seem magnificent to me, and I'm coming to you for this episode of the podcast. Just want to get a little like clarity, but also hear from the side, because I guess why am I explaining to you how I'm about to interview you?
It's good. I've never been interviewed before, so this is good. I need like some prep. Okay, cool.
All right. Well, let's talk
What
about.
else are you gonna ask?
What I really, you do all these kind of like tutorials. Like if people go to you have a separate Twitter that's like Citizen Zero and
Citizen Zero blog, I think, is the name of the Twitter handle.
And you're admittedly like just starting that, and you're not. This isn't your wheelhouse. That in particular, like you're not like a web genius or whatever, but you're hoping this can be kind of a project that people get interested in. It's sort of about the analysis and of what it is. What does it mean to be an active citizen? What does it mean? And so I guess the thing that I want to start with is, because all of us are familiar with this aspect, which is arguing online about politics. How do we do that right?
Like, I guess to start, I did like actually write a post because I'm a terrible person who writes blogs forever. But the first thing I think to start with is always to have an idea of what you actually want to get out of the discussion. Like if you go into a political discussion and your aim, you don't know what you want it to look like when it's done, you're going to end up in a flame war where you call somebody a cunt.
Because
it's going to happen.
Because you're secretly like not. That's what you actually are burnt up about. You can actually do yourself good and do the other people good by actually knowing that that's what you're thinking first of all, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so like let's do an example of how to. So if I'm just sitting over here stewing. So first of all, how do if I'm mad, I hate women. Like, let's say I
just hypothetically.
I hate women. I just heard about the Wonder Woman premiere, or the Wonder Woman screening where you're not allowed to have men at the Alamo Draft House. So I just read about that on Facebook, and now I'm real mad, or maybe I'm not even acknowledging that I'm mad. I'm bemused. Yeah. Because people don't understand how illogical it is. But like, what should I be doing in my status update? Or like, is that the first mistake? Is that people don't start discourse that way? They don't be honest and say, "This is how I feel."
Right. I think first of all would be like, what kind of topic do you actually want to cover? Because if you want to just talk about how you feel about something, there's so much space for that. There's a lot of it, but if you want to use social media as your therapy session, which is totally cool, just acknowledge that that's what you're doing. Because then people don't want to engage with you if you're like having those feels. I feel like that's not a great way to start a political discussion. I think the easiest way, like, I don't know, I was really upset about, I think the thread that you noticed that got you to follow me was the one about Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. And I started from this place where I was like, wow, I've got a lot of thoughts about Bernie Sanders, but so many in my head, so maybe I should like put them out there. And I started from this place of like, I don't want to be confrontational. I don't want this to be like, oh my God, I hate Bernie, all of you can suck it. So I came from another place because I know that was going to end badly. So I was like, okay, let's talk about why people don't like Bernie Sanders. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about why people might not be involved in his campaign or not feel like he insults them or feel they're distant from his concepts. At least if I get that out, then at least you know where I'm coming from when I say that I don't like him and I don't want him to be president of the United States. If I don't, it's not personal, my dislike, but it means that I have to be honest about where I'm coming from, what's motivating me, and be able to explain and defend it when somebody comes up to me.
So a good place to start from if you just want to vent some stuff, which is all of our rights to do. Like, it's probably best to just be like, the more honest the better. Although some of us are, like, you want to be funny about it and you want to like have a point of view, and sometimes that involves sarcasm, and sometimes that involves like the next thing that's going to happen is this, and there's not really an argument there. But let's say you were honest enough to say, here's why some people don't like the Bernie movement. Here's why some of us feel a little betrayed, even as you feel betrayed and all this stuff. And you say these things and you lay out your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then so now let's go to the next step, which is you're being attacked. Someone's going to talk down to you, whatever you want to call it. But you seem to have this ability online, which was inspiring to me. Like, you don't automatically assume like that this even though you know, because we were talking backstage and Cody said, how many times does it end with a conversion of someone? 0, absolutely 100% 0 ever. But people are watching and we're performing on Twitter. But anyways, I'm answering your question for you. No, here it comes. I'm gonna be like a dummy, like a mannequin, like oh god. I'm gonna be like okay. You just said all that stuff about Bernie. Okay, so then I respond to you and I say, yeah, well, what makes you, because you started it with like, this is why some people, so I'm going to hit you there. And I go, okay. What makes you think you speak for the people you think you're speaking for? Why do you think you're speaking for those people?
He lost the primary by 4 million votes, so I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for a lot of people who didn't vote for him. Kind of
so then that person's going to get riled up now because you're going
Charlie
down there.
Snopes liked it.
That person's now riled up because now they're going to go, well, the reason he lost the primary is because the primary was not a fair fight. You can see in the leaked emails that she's conspiring against him. The Democratic Party is villainous and unfair. I don't know how I fit that in 140 characters, but I did.
No, you totally did. So my response, also in 140 characters, is that Bernie basically lost the race around March 1st, and you would need to explain to me exactly what the DNC did before March 1st that secured the fact that he would never get enough delegates to win the nomination. If you can explain that to me, I will gladly take your position. I will acknowledge it. I will say, like, I totally understand where you feel you're coming from, but you got to show me the evidence of a problem that could not be solved by his campaign.
Do you ever have, because I just, like, because this is going to fuse with, maybe let's learn a little bit about your, like, from birth forward, like your early story. Because I'm curious about how, after that election and those spreadsheet results, where certain demographics were revealed to be just as chaotic as life itself. There are things that we thought, if you had this quality or that quality from birth, that. So how that has put us all into a tizzy. And there's actually on that spreadsheet, as I said after the election, if you cross all of it, it's like there's one group of people that should be taking their hands off the wheel right now and be more jaded than ever, and that's black women, because they turned out to the polls and, like, I don't know who those 3% were or 2% or whatever it was, but it was like, and did you, well, to go back to that first of all, did you feel a betrayal from the next morning
from white
from
people.
Your other Democrats? From
white people.
From white people. From white women, from I mean, you expected it from white men maybe, but like were you shocked like that women didn't like Wonder Woman it through, you know, like just like as one gender?
I guess, yeah, no. First of all, I was kind of in a coma after the election results because I was with my best friend and we were hanging out and we were so excited. And then like I started calling Florida and I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And my friend was like freaking out because she was, I mean, we're both black women, and she was freaking out and she was like, we gonna die. And I was like, maybe not. Maybe something will happen and then she'll win and then we won't die. And it didn't work out like that. Fortunately, we're both still alive.
I kept yelling at Cody, like he's not winning. You know, like I was like mad at her for thinking it was possible for women to have their hearts broken. Yeah. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. No, you don't get the universe, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did feel, to a certain degree, I was like, this wasn't supposed to happen. The numbers weren't supposed to work like this. I grew up in local politics, so I actually did my first door-to-door petition drive at 3.
This will stop any minute now.
That's my car, I think.
It was really mad about
Just hear those
me
sleigh bells
talking
sing on
about
a ring ting
3-year-old.
tingling too.
Wait. Take us to the moment of birth if that's not too invasive.
Oh no, it's definitely not invasive.
How long was the labor? What hospital? No, was it? Are we born and bred in New York?
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York. Both of my parents were like very civically minded. My mom curses too much to be an elected official, so she never really got into the negotiation of politics because she doesn't have patience.
Can you do an impression of your mother cursing?
No, I would die.
By the way, I'm from the future coming through a portal into your mother's kitchen about her political career. It's not because of your swearing. It will only ever be because you're a woman. It's like we are going to elect a man who talks like a sewer.
Yeah.
And in all the ways that really matter. And then I'm going to go back through the portal and enjoy a nice cocktail.
Yeah, no, it's good. And then my dad was an actual local elected official. He actually helped preserve a local train line that was going to get torn down, and I got a chance to ride on it because he'd done all that work. And it was really cool to kind of grow up in local politics, except that knowing all your local politicians, means that you find them really human and really petty all the time. But it was a good experience to see what it looks like to do all the time, petition drives and try to get people involved and all that other stuff. And then after the election, I was sitting there after having spent lots of hours yelling at my television about that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he loves golf. Why does anyone care? Who is talking about these really important things? Are we going to upgrade our energy grid? That's really important. We can't just let it sit there for the next 20 years deteriorating. Is anyone going to talk about global warming? Is literally at all? Maybe 5 minutes. Could you just ask him a question about climate change? And then if he doesn't answer correctly, because there's a correct answer. There's only one answer, actually. There's there's no multiple choice. It's one answer. A, the Earth is getting warmer. B, then the next question would be, what are we going to do? And the answer is, fix it. That's there are only two answers to those questions.
You were talking backstage about the original zero-sum game, which sounds exactly like that, which is human rights.
Yeah.
And you take it. You were telling me things about the Dixiecrats and history that I'm just here to absorb. Because I was thinking about Soylent or something for those years.
So, human rights used to be a part of the Republican Party platform when they started, when the Republican Party started.
And defining human rights, because now we live in this post-nationalist, do we mean American human rights, or do we mean,
Any human rights when you're talking about slavery, there's kind of no separation between American human rights and just regular human rights. They're the same concept. And when you're talking about the ability to access your civil society, if that's the standard that you're setting for your citizenship, white dudes get to participate in society. That's a human right. At that point, it's not a right for a particular group. If it's necessary to make it possible for that entire group to vote, then it's necessary for everyone to be able to vote. That's how it should work. The only reason we have an age cutoff is because have you met 17-year-olds? No, they're not allowed to do anything.
Yeah, I don't want a world run by me at 32 or 5 seconds ago. We move forward and we grow, and hopefully with society, whatever. Why am I doing this? So a sidebar on that. Because I keep reading about voter suppression. I get gerrymandering. I understand that a little bit. That's simply the horrible kind of sometimes functional but ultimately erosive process of playing chess with where districts are drawn but blah, blah, blah. We all know what gerrymandering is and how that is voter suppression. What is the shit going on with why is it really as simple as with voter ID laws? Talk about the state of affairs with voter ID laws. Is that differing from state to state? I'm lost there.
So every state gets to determine what it's going to do with its own election, which is a good thing in some ways and bad thing from a national perspective when we're voting for president, because it's really annoying. But state by state, basically what you can do is you can create a standard for voting. And once you do that, you basically can control the rules of what it means to get to participate in voting. I know that there was an automatic voter registration bill that was going through in Nevada. I believe there's a state or two that's working on it. It might be Oregon. Oregon actually passed it, which means that you're automatically registered at 18 and you have to go and deregister or something like that in order to stop being on the voter rolls or death certificate. And that means that voter suppression works this way, which is basically if you set a standard, right, that only some people can meet, even though everybody's an eligible voter, then you get to choose who filters through. And that's what they wanted. That's what voter suppression is about. They
You
want
could
to
apply a
filter.
drug test, or
Yeah.
but and how does an ID how does the idea of needing an ID talk about that filter as actual manifestation?
So the first thing is that they use the fact that only some forms of ID are legitimate ID. Your college ID is not a legitimate form of ID, even has your address on it. So that means college students now have to get a separate ID in the state with all their birth information, rather than just being able to use their student ID to vote. So you can register at school, at college, and vote. Actually, again, my bestie was in school in Philadelphia, and she voted out Rick Santorum, and that was like one of her great, like she's always like, I can die now, having done that. I voted out Rick Santorum. That feels so good. And she didn't need to present like photo ID. She was able to go present the evidence that she lived in Philadelphia as her means of doing it. Right now, what happens is that with voter ID laws, basically what they do is they set a standard that you have to meet. So you have to bring your birth certificate or this. Like, how many people right now in this room can tell you, say specifically where your birth certificate is right at this moment?
Not me.
Anybody? How many people?
17.
Okay, everybody who did not raise their hand, you can't vote.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like that.
just adding any. It just occurred to me, adding any hoops,
Yeah.
even if they're seemingly not like hey, if you are a fan of the Patriots, you need to. It's like the filter only needs to be a filter in order to slow down poor people,
Yep.
young people, people that are working a lot. It's like any extra steps. The harder you make it to vote, the more. I think that's essentially. It occurs to me we're down a fucking branch that I took you down because voting is a human right.
Yeah.
That's an argument that we're still having. Needlessly. Yeah. The idea that voting is a human right. Forget about shelter, medicine, all these things. So take us back to somewhere around the 1800s and let's step forward where human rights is like this issue that starts fragmenting us into weird bedfellows.
I mean, it's always been fragmenting us. So let's start from the basic concept, right? The idea of America is that it's not based off of where you came nationally. That's always the dream. It's the mythology that we talk about on July 4th is that we built a country on ideals, and you could come here and you could dream what you wanted to dream, dream the impossible dream, all of that. I can't sing, so I'm not going to try it. But the point is that you can, there's this notion that we were built differently, and we had explicitly human rights as part of our declaration. They talk about tyranny and bloodshed and controlling us, and we deserve the right. We are endowed by our Creator, whoever that is. And, come on, they said it right up there. We're endowed with our Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these is the right, all those happy rights that they talk about. And
that you come out of a womb, or even ostensibly that Constitution holds up to us being test tube babies. Sorry to cut you off, but I saw a sci-fi angle here. You're coming into this world one way or the other, but the Constitution is this document. They sat down and they said, let's form this labor union of a country, this hotel lobby of a country that says, no matter what happens, no matter what anyone would try to use as an excuse, that the idea is that everyone in this country, you as soon as you draw your first waking breath, you have these rights. Yeah. They are not given to you. I know I sound like a sixth grade teacher, but I was just like, we have forgotten that in our bones, right? And well early on. So continue.
Yeah. So except for slaves, the rule was
except
everybody.
For women. I mean,
everybody who's a white dude has inalienable rights, but I don't know about the rest of you. Maybe white women. I don't know. We're working it out.
Well, we're
Black
kind of
people
masters of
definitely
the unspoken exception. Like, we didn't. If we had to write, it goes back to that thing of if you had to declare, like, if you were passionate at the framing of the Constitution, you would have to write it in and go, like, look, black people, let's write about them for a while, and you'd have to do it. But you don't have to do that when you can just say all people are created equal, and I'll find out what I mean by that later. But for now, I mean Phil and his cousin Tony. Anyways, sorry. It's these negative spaces that we're now like coming to bear on, and that's why there's amendments, and that's really because we by the way, we fucking mean this. Go, please, continue.
So then, leaving people out of that discussion of human rights eventually fractured the country in two, because one group was like, nah, they definitely don't have human rights, and the other group was like, maybe they do. Just a little bit, just like maybe a handful of human rights. They're not like equal to us, but they seem to be human. I think actually after quite a lot of time, they do appear to be human beings, so we might need to just accept them as part of the country. And they were like, whoa, you can't do that. And then they decided to murder each other over it for about 4 years. And the Republican Party's concept was like, we actually recognize that slavery is bad because it infringes upon human rights. And they held up that end of the bargain until basically shortly after until 1964, Republicans held on pretty well. And the only thing that cracked the black vote away from them was the New Deal policies, because they were like, wow, you screwed up real bad. Like, we have no money. We might not be able to vote for you again, actually. This guy, FDR, might have some solutions for us. And we're okay with splitting away from you. And you saw the black vote start to diverge and split into two pieces. But the reason it didn't go fully Democratic under FDR was because they had the Dixiecrat coalition, the same people at the founding who were like, no, we got to keep slaves. And the same people in 1865 who were like, no, we have to kill Lincoln and continue trying to impose slavery. And the people who terrorized black people in the years between of Jim Crow, those people were the same people who've been arguing this entire time, like, no, human rights are not actually fundamental to this republic. They're not. They're only for some people.
And we're seeing that play out now.
Yeah.
These words that up to 6 months ago are just grown-up words to me and continue to. I don't care about fucking Medicaid, healthcare, all this shit. They're more boring than a Central American country's president's last name. I'm like, this doesn't have anything to do with me. Medicaid, Medicare, all this stuff. But it's like, then you peel back the layers and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, you just think that cancer is punishable by more death if you're poor than if you're rich, which is fucking insane if you wrote it in the crawl of a sci-fi movie and said the people are divided between people that think that if you have a random thing happen to you while you are on American soil, an American citizen, if you have sickness, which is just a part of life, we believe that then your life should just be shortened by your poverty. And no one is having that. I mean, now everyone's having that conversation, but we're still not just watching Paul Ryan struggle through that PowerPoint that he made with like crayons, where he's like, he thought he was going to blow our minds. I think because his mind had just recently been blown. He was like, let me break this down. Like, I don't know if you guys get it, but basically what people are suggesting is that, look at all these sick people. Do you know what happens when you get sick? You can't make money. So they're like the poorest people in the world and the sickest. This is a problem that solves itself. And that's what he was yelling at us. And everyone was like, what the fuck don't you understand about every step of society that all of us have ever learned since our mommy sat us down and said, your roommate needs the rent check. I'll bail you out this time, but get your shit together, or you have to move back home, and I make fun of you. Like every college kid gets it. Everyone, but how do you? I don't know what my question is. But I just like. I mean, like. So where do you stand? This is an interesting segue into this. So I'm getting the impression then that you're probably not one to. Where are you in all this, like, this treason Russia, like soap opera? I'm guessing your answer is to the extent that it's there's evidence and rule of law. Let's proceed forward, but let's not let it distract us from the occasional law being pushed forward. Or
it's the most important thing that's ever happened in American democracy.
I knew it. Because
a hostile foreign actor totally went into our most sacred institution and fucked it all up. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because, I mean, nothing if you want to talk, there's like the metaphor, right, of the body politic, and people use that all the time. Like, imagine voting as being your spine. Like, someone just went in and fucked with your spine. You wouldn't be like, we're cool. We'll just chill. Like, you'd be like, no, that really fucked up my
I think people
whole
are
life.
distracted. My perception is that people are distracted first and foremost by there's like this victory parade they're having, which is not happy at all, which is called "We Won, Get Over It," and that they perceive that they don't even get to start going down the block before people are like pouring weird. They think that people are cheating by going like Russia, 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 and I think that the biggest thing that they don't understand, the people that are still bothering to like go, come on, get over it, where's the evidence, I'm tired of hearing this, is that they think that at the end of this whole process, Hillary Clinton gets to become president because they cheated. Like we're going to find out that
she should.
Putin popped the hood on a voting machine and like put extra votes in there.
No, but here's the thing about that is that like if you were to cheat in like a local election and they found out, they would just nullify the election and your opponent would win. That's how it works. There's no like complicated thing there.
But it depends on your demo. But my impression is that what we're debating with them, because it seems like to the extent, maybe Spencer, you can jump in here. You have a beard. But it seems like we've long since kind of dropped, like, maybe we'll find out more, but right now we're sort of like not worried about the results of the election. We saw them. They bummed us out and were surprising, but at the same time, like, it's fine, and is the result of this constant effort on the part of a foreign, hostile, former superpower, the most dangerous psychological post-internet fucking threat you could have. That what we've learned about Russia is that that's how they handle their satellite states. That's how they've just been like, they have troll farms. That all that shit is real. And that doesn't mean that if we prove collusion, someone else gets to be president, except for the fact that you can't be president from prison. I think the people that are still hanging on are really like even dumber than me about politics and are thinking, stop trying to act like this election's not going to stick. And I'm like, it's stuck. Now he goes to prison.
What happened? I mean, prison, that's really hard to do. Impeachment, yeah, it's really hard. We've never put a president in prison. Another thing is that I like to think about this, like, it's kind of scary. Don't freak out, everybody. But, like, we're kind of in the place right now that we were before the Civil War, where, like, there's no real chance to, like, the only thing that fixed the Civil War was the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. Like, there was never any, like, hey, I don't know, can we just sit down and talk about whether or not it's okay to leave the United States over slavery? Let's just sit down, have a conference, and we'll talk it out. Like, we need to build a process, and it's going to be, like, the craziest thing we've ever done, is to build a process to deal with the reality that an election was stolen at this level. Yes. And if we don't figure that process out,
What did I say to you? During the opening monologue. I'm sorry, I like him. He's so passionate. Sorry, why did I operate in tandem with this guy to
Kaitlin,
derail you?
So you're a writer, you're a blogger, you're an activist. Like, how are you going to help save the world? Like, you got to help us. And like, what's the next steps that we have to do?
Because, by the way, in case you can't tell, my solution is fly her out, let her talk, and then I'll just worship her, vote for you. Then my problems are solved. Anything? Can I get back to Mario Kart? That is what everyone's dealing with, is both inside them and with any people that they choose to talk to. Is like, man, we all it was working.
I wake up every day. I think like a lot of people do with this kind of dopamine drip of, oh, we got him. Donald Trump Jr. is doing this thing, we did it. Like they're all going to jail. They're not fucking going to jail. They're not going away.
It took 6 years for Nixon. He won 2 elections by a landslide, and then had to find his own shame at the end of that story. Still, and that cascaded from your grandma and uncle and people at Thanksgiving not having Facebook to bolster them every morning with more amphetaminic fucking rage, but in fact they had to come around to. I think Nixon's a dick. I'm sick of it. Sorry, I told you you're a lesbian.
Dan, that's a hard line to take. Nixon's a dick?
You know what? He's tricky too. I wish there was shorthand for any of this, but honey, there's no Facebook yet. I've got 3 pigs to slaughter before lunch.
Like I leave town every couple of weeks, and I turn off the news and I don't read a paper, and I come back assuming that Donald Trump has killed a kindergarten because it seems like he will one day. And they're always in trouble. There's always some bullshit in the news cycle, and then nothing happens, and we all think it's going to be fixed, but it's not going to be fixed. Like we actually have to revolt at some point, don't we? We have to take it to the streets.
Well, so let's get back to this amendment. Let's make 3 new amendments. Do you think that
it's called the Doobie Amendment, called taking it to the streets?
Are you suggesting that maybe we take our lumps with Trump and let this cancer ride out, knowing that we are bombarding it with the chemo of fucking holy shit, what the fuck have we done that's going to make us sick, bum us out, but that if that stops the cancer of fascism, that the thing we need to do is beat this metaphor dead. Take on the dietary and environmental changes of. Are you talking about election protection amendments, like things that actually federalize and centralize the election process and make it hack-proof? Because I felt like the hacking was cultural in this case. It was like Russia taking advantage of the fact that we're all like.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do we need to change? If you're not thinking about impeachment or arrest,
I'm definitely thinking about both impeachment and arrest. But we've never had a significant portion of our line of succession all removed simultaneously. And of course, let's be honest, if he stole an election, he's not legitimately president. If he stole an election, Mike Pence is not legitimately vice president. We don't have any idea what's going on with Paul Ryan, but I strongly believe that he probably had some idea, since he used the hacked DCC emails against House candidates, which means that he either didn't know he was using stolen information from Russia, or he knew and just didn't care.
I think Paul Ryan stole our hearts.
Dreamboat.
He's dreamy.
Dreamy.
That lizard face. But okay, so yeah, because that's what we're all thinking right now. Like we wake up that fucking meeting where. And somebody made the reference before I did. I thought I'd be the oldest person on Twitter and go, yeah, Serrano's got the discs, which is a reference to Midnight Run, in which the resolution is all Robert De Niro has to do is to get crime boss Tony Serrano to accept discs that it's been established Serrano believes are fruit of the hacked election, yes, if a Russian government lawyer, and it's amazing that they actually it's not amazing that they identify themselves that way, right? Because the Russians probably are like going, when you're Russia, everything you do is a win, 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 win. There is not even one lose in there. There's no wrong move for Russia to make. They can just email you and go, hey, we've got naked pictures of Hillary Clinton. Hey, I've got naked pictures of your mother too. I've got naked. They can just send out whatever they want. Any meeting you take, now they've got you for that. They can just and then the further the relationship deepens, the more stoked they get. The longer they wait, the more they offer up. And you have to figure that combined with the collective IQ of the Trump team, who never thought they were going to win. Like, they've got to be in so fucking deep, it's insane.
Yeah.
So then we all wake up realizing this. We're all starting to realize this, that this treasonous path probably very likely, Occam's razor says, these motherfuckers, before they knew it was even possible to commit treason, when all you want to do is just win the presidency, they committed treason so long ago, we're going to find it out. And then you just like, wait, what? We're all just sitting here going, then what do we do?
Yeah, there's actually no actual process for that or answer. I kind of wish I could give one. The answer, I think we talked backstage. It was about, know what you want to see, right? So what do we want to see? Like imagine, imagine right now, like the president of the United States has not been legitimately elected. None of his cabinet can take over for him. Not his vice president either. We have no system whatsoever has ever had this happen. So what do we as citizens want to see? Because if you can't figure out that next step, which is like, do we rerun the election? We could. We have the money. It's not like we can't afford to run a second election. Then the problem is Republicans have to put somebody new up. Should we give them the opportunity? Should we just claim that it's illegitimate, install Hillary? That's going to go well. People will be very calm. So the problem is that you need to know what you want to achieve first. And then the answer is to start working backwards. So what can we do as citizens to make it easier to understand what that result should look like? And I honestly believe that we should declare the election illegitimate and Hillary Clinton should be president of the United States. And I don't just say that because I really liked voting for her, but also because, in all honesty, that's what happens with virtually every other contest that we've ever run where we find somebody cheated. Right. We're like, every other time in all of the history of the world when we're like, hey, turns out you're a fucking cheater. You actually totally stole that thing. You don't get your medals. You don't get to win the game. You're erased from the history books. We remove things. Like, that's just how it's always gone. It happens in local elections.
When am I allowed to make fun of Barron?
Yeah, what age does he have to be before we can go?
What's the statute on that one?
You are clearly...
Because I've got so many tweets just backlogged.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't talk about like many of the things that I want to see are felonies to say out loud into a microphone. I've researched it. One of them may or may not be like I just can't. It was Barron's adulthood in general. Like I can't wait until he's walking around. I am endlessly entertained by Donald Trump Jr. I think because I just like it's like his tweets and with his avatar with that hair and his face, I just regress to a time in every cell in my body when I was absolutely the underdog. I didn't know that I would find out 40 years later that that my view of things is limited to where I turn my head. But when I knew I had righteous anger, when I knew who the bad guys were and why I was a hero, that fucking kid, and I'm calling him a kid because his dad calls him a kid, which is part of the problem. He's my age. He is such a villain. He's always been a villain, and I love that he's entered the fucking forefront of everything. It makes me so happy. Now I'm rooting for evil to have happened. I'm rooting for him to disappoint his father. I want one of the two of them, mythically, this for federal officers listening. I want the whole thing to end in all of them in a Reservoir Dogs crossbow fight.
Crossbow,
where a Secret Service commander, or whatever their highest ranking official is, has been locked out of the room like a firewall, in that Life movie with Jay Gills. They're on the space station and the octopus monster starts firewalls. And they're locked out of the Oval Office. They're like, we need to be in there. And then they come in and it's people are talking about what happened with flowcharts for 6 years because all you see is just. They all did it to themselves. They're just there's just crossbow bolts everywhere and freedom. A vacuum of freedom. And then from then on, the Oval Office is this weird place where we couldn't tear it down. But here's where the tour gets even more interesting than it used to be. It was already the thing you were looking forward to. Now it's also got a lot of ghost stories.
I just think that we don't need them to have crossbows. We just need them to get hemophilia, like the Romanovs. They should all just die of some sort of weird inbred disease.
I don't want to wait that many generations. Yeah. Did you just fart, or was that your chair? Oh, okay. I thought it was
Dan, when I fart, you'll fucking know it.
All right. That's what I thought was happening. I thought you farted and I knew it.
The one who heard it.
Kaitlin,
Turd it.
so what about you personally as a person? Because part of what's inspiring about you is you have that I don't want to be your Joan of Arc, stop treating me like something that's going to solve all your problems vibe, which makes me want to treat you like that. Just tell me what to do and tell me what to think and I'll vote for you. Do you have political aspirations? Do you want to?
No, I don't. You will never see my name on a ballot. Like, not ever. Not good. Not good over there.
So what is it? But does that to say that like there's sideways, like your Citizen Zero blog, like why be a politician if we are the people? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Well, first things first is that I am not polite enough to be an elected. Like I have a really high standard for elected officials, and especially when you grow up with them, you see like a lot of their foibles, but also a lot of I'm going to be really nice to my local politicians. A lot of kindness, a lot of patience. There are people who are going to ask you some of the stupidest shit you've ever heard in your life, and you're going to have to be like, yes, I understand your issue. It is really terrible that the lines are that particular shade of yellow in the two lines are. It's so tough. I understand. I will definitely take that up at the next council meeting. I will absolutely do it. They walk off, and you're like, what was that? You know, and you just do that to your local people, and you're just looking at them like your staff, and like, did that really just happen? Did someone just come to yell at me about the shade of yellow on our streets? Okay, cool. I just want to know that happened. And then you go back to doing like real hard work. And I don't have any patience for that. I would just be that person like, did you come to me with that? That's my time. I only have so much time alive, and you chose to spend 5 minutes talking to me about that. That's not okay.
And there are people that would enjoy that job and would feel overpaid in the standard salary. And correct me if you think I'm wrong, but like it seems to me that our class of politicians from top to bottom has become an inversion of that demographic. Like we all went to high school with people that we remember and go like, you know, that person should have been an alderman. That person should have been president. Because actually they would enjoy civil service. They would enjoy like the drudgery of it. They like to be fair. They don't blow their stack when they talk to idiots. And those people are 180 degrees like on a different road. They're directed that way by, I don't want to say Hydra, but I don't want to get into a conspiracy theory, like a reptilian like alien that's taken over our Earth. But there definitely there's a problem there, and it all comes back to the individual's definition of what it means to be an American citizen, which we have been, especially recently, but probably for my entire life. We feel like we got born here, and then there's this immigration thing and the whole like melting pot thing, and we learned that in high school and Schoolhouse Rock videos, and the idea of gaining citizenship and that meaning like you just have like a card that says you can participate, and but like what it actually means to be the citizen of a democratic republic, and so I don't want to put you on the spot as much as I want to gain some clarity in my life. What do I do differently? We have people up here, and I ask all the time. So what do I do? We've all heard you got to call your so and so. You got to do this and that. I don't. Yes, it should be work, and we should want to figure it out. But is there a way to like get a better map of it? Like, how much of my day is given over to being a citizen if I'm an active participant in that role?
Well, I would say, first thing that I want to say is that I'm hoping to build a system. If you guys go to citizenzeroproject.org or .com, I own both. It's just good. It's good for brand. So if you go there, I actually have a project that I'm working on, which would be an online web portal. I really want to build this, where basically people could log in and find out like all the things that their elected officials have been doing, and you get updates like every week, every 2 weeks, or every month, depending on when you wanted to see it. And you'd be able to like build a report card, so that it would like summarize a lot of the stuff that you do and don't agree with your elected officials about. And that way, you wouldn't actually have to do all that legwork by yourself, because that sucks. Like, it really does, and I do it, and I spend way too much time doing it, and it's really exhausting. on the basic citizenship scale and like the national scale, I should say that you should probably be on top of at least, you should have like one issue you really care about, at least one. It doesn't have to be like very fancy or anything like that. You just be like, wow, those stagnant pools of water are totally going to attract mosquitoes. It's gross. If you're aware of something that like that in your neighborhood, I know it's really small and stupid, but like that's a thing. Be care about that thing.
But what if you
You'll
want to be a
find that you
nice
care about
person?
it.
So I have a stagnant pool of mosquitoes in my. I see it. It's 2 blocks away. Now I'm gonna definitely the person in me that's both nice and that wants to just get back to Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous combination of agreement because both of them say, don't. Because you're going to call a congressperson about stagnant pools of mosquitoes and you're going to be an idiot and someone's going to answer that. You're going to feel dumb and disempowered all day. You're going to get on a phone tree and all this stuff. Like, there's a first step there that's like, I don't know who to call. Is it an alderman, an ombudsman?
Comptroller.
Is there like that's why I said I don't want to put you on the spot because I don't want to make humanity's tendency to be a robotic coward your fault and problem to solve. But the closer we could get to like, actually, here's how you do a layup or whatever, so that if you want to expand on it and make your own style, that's great. But only speaking for myself, that's how I feel about it. Is being in gym class and the coach says, it's great. It's a layup. It's like the most common thing in basketball. You just do this and do that, and then you go like that. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Slow down. What foot goes where first? Put cutouts on the floor. If you really care about me, ever caring about this sport, you'll like come in my bedroom window the way video games do and say, just push this button. And like, or do we say, stop catering to that and fuck you if you can't be a man?
I would say that the easiest thing to do is just find, as I said, find an issue. A lot of it's easy when it's like
Stagnant
national.
mosquito water.
Stagnant mosquito water, or you can choose something at a national level. Climate change is a big one.
Net neutrality.
Net neutrality.
So I know I call my congressperson and I go, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm concerned about net neutrality.
Don't start with the call to your congressperson unless you know what you're going to say before you pick up the phone. In all honesty, that's why you feel disempowered all day, is because you started out and you were like, I feel really strongly.
Right.
And then you get on the phone with a representative, like a person, they're like, so why? And you're like, because feelings. I have so many feelings.
Because I watched John Oliver last night.
Because I watched John Oliver.
Well, if you watch John Oliver, then you kind of know what to say. What about the people that feel like I'm doing this. Like there's gotta be people who are more scared than I am of getting on the phone and having who answers and what do you like. You say like know what you want, but you grew up around politics. Like it's possible you see more of the fishbowl than I do. I'd start like much smaller, which is instead of trying to make the action go outside of yourself, just figure out like literally spend some time. I would say like an hour a week, maybe an hour or two. Just sitting around and being like, okay, what is about this issue? Like, who's talked about it? Who's an expert in this issue that I care about? You care about net neutrality, you should be reading up on as much stuff about where it comes from, what the term means. You should at least know the basics of that term. And it really just takes that's just like an hour a week. And then when you're ready, you can take a whole month if you want to, a whole 4 hours. And then once you've looked at something for 4 hours, then you can say, like, do I want to call my congressman over this? Like, first of all, you'll learn just by checking up on that issue for 4 hours. Like, okay, this is who's responsible. Like, you'll learn, like, okay, we need to talk to federal people, because you'll see in their research, you'll be like, whoa, this is a federal issue. It's definitely not something for my state legislator. Then you might check on something like climate change and find out, well, we're in California. It's going to be your state. All right, well, let's do an exercise. I'm going to be this, and the fun thing about this is you can't do wrong because I'm a manifestation of my own fear in this exercise. I'm the person on the other end of the phone. You be you. You're a citizen. You're activated about an issue. You don't even have to tell me what it is. I'm answering the phone at the House of Representative level for your district.
Cool.
All right. Are you going to make this ringing sound effect, or should I?
Oh, you should definitely do the ringing sound effect.
Okay. Good afternoon, Congressman Schmandeman's office.
Hi, I'm Kaitlin. I'm really interested in our roads and bridges.
Okay, do you have an appointment to speak?
An appointment to speak? I'm a citizen of the United States. I don't need an appointment to speak to my congressman.
Normal speaking hours are from 3 to 5 every Tuesday, except Wednesday, except every third of the fourth is Tuesday or Thursday.
I would say that my First Amendment right is open anytime, 24/7.
Yeah, First Amendment meeting is okay, bye. Thanks for calling.
Okay, cool.
So that doesn't happen, right? That's my fear. That is for my first fear. This is a healthy exercise. Like, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
No.
Because it happens when I need my teeth fixed, and it happens like, I don't know, or maybe it just only happens in my fucking head, like when I need my driver's license renewed. But that doesn't happen.
No, it does not happen. You don't need to worry about your congressman's office blowing you off, because that's in general when they are discourteous on the phone, they find out that person was actually really important, and now they've got like a donor who's going to be like, hey, my sister called up and you treated her horribly. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just lost $1 million. Thank you. Right. That's what happens actually in
now, Kaitlin, can you guys reverse roles, and Dan, you call her up and
you show us take us at least that far, and then we can move forward from there. So okay, I'll do what you did.
Okay.
I think, but I'll probably offend you by trying.
Okay, so I get a cool
that means
sound
you have to
effect?
do the
No.
ring sound.
Okay.
But you get sound. Yeah.
Okay. Ring. Ring.
Oh, wait, I should already be on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, you called her.
Yeah.
Hi, this is the Congressman blah blah blah's office. How can I help you?
Yes, I'm very concerned. Hold on a second.
Oh.
I forgot what I was concerned about.
You're not.
I forgot what you were
anything?
concerned about. Were you concerned about net neutrality?
I was concerned about roads and bridges.
Oh, roads and bridges. Okay. Sorry. I forgot. Hi, this is. Hi, I'm concerned about roads and bridges.
Okay, that's great. What specific road or bridge were you worried about? I mean, we take care of federal bridges and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, all I know is. All I know is that I drive over the 3rd Street Bridge every day, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. I've been taking that route for 30 years, and I keep reading these things in the paper about funding and stuff, and I just feel like there's so many potholes, and it feels like the bridge. I just and I see other things about infrastructure in other parts of the country. I don't want to be one of those cities where people don't say, hey, I want my bridge traversable. So I called.
Yeah, we don't want a situation like Minnesota, because we're so much better than that.
Yeah,
okay.
Fuck this fucking pieces of shit.
So let me take
I can't believe you knew you just could tell from my voice that I would bite on the anti-Minnesotan.
Yeah, I totally did. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down your concern. I'm going to route it to the appropriate offices. I'm going to talk to our legislative aide on infrastructure.
Okay, but is this like the runaround? What are you doing to me here? I don't know what. This is me. Can I call back later? And every time I have a bridge concern, if I call back every day.
Time.
Like, so do I have to change my voice to be taken seriously, and if I continue to be concerned about the bridge every time you answer the phone, will you eventually file a restraining order against me?
I don't believe that members of Congress can file restraining orders against.
Are you a member of Congress?
Well, not me specifically. Are you going to call me every day?
Aren't you going to be working there for a while?
I mean, like, we rotate. Like, it's not just me on the phone.
What's your name?
If you want to hang out with me specifically.
Sorry, what's your name?
Sandy.
Sandy, I'm Dan. I'm Kaitlin. Sorry, no. I live in Brooklyn by the 3rd Street Bridge.
Okay, cool.
I don't have to tell you that.
No, that's really great. So I do have to take down the concern because it's a big one. It's a big thing to get going.
It's a
So
big
I
bridge.
can't just do it by myself.
Okay.
And I'm not giving you a runaround. I
Okay.
want to make sure that the concern is noticed, logged, and we know when it came in, and then we can talk about because we're having a meeting next week about the bridge.
You're having a meeting?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a town meeting.
Shit,
About the
Martha!
bridge.
Yeah.
Where's the notepad?
Dan, are you pretending to be Kaitlin again and bothering your congressman?
I gotta write down a meeting. I pay your rent. Get me a notepad. Motherfucker. So there's a meeting. I like to participate.
I want a divorce.
Excuse me for a second. Phone down, but then you just hear fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Fucked up shit. I'm not gonna do it because it'll be trivializing, but I'm just saying, like, as a writer, I'm saying, like, you hear fucked up shit. Like, you hear, like, the dog's barking, and then you hear, like, somebody, like, whimpering, and, like,
And they're like thuds.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hey, tell me more about this meeting. I want to be involved in democracy. Where am I going? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that?
I mean,
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hang up and become myself again. This isn't fair
Somebody
to anyone.
call the police.
No,
Somebody call the police.
Shut up!
Call 911.
You
Somebody.
get in the food hut. Whatever that means.
Oh my God, my face. What happened to my face?
It's you get in the food hut. It's the title of the indie movie that will be made about your experience if you're lucky. Click. Okay. That's what they like that. They like human tragedy.
Thank you for that nice applause for domestic abuse. That was very nice
Well,
of
that's
all
the
of
part
you.
I didn't want to make a cartoon about. Yeah, but I thought like if it was like a Rear Window thing where you're like, oh my God, there's a murder. All right, but anyways,
and then as like a sad legislative aide, I have to like try to figure out what the hell happened. It'll be good.
But can I suffice it to say, if you do, and there's a million apps and it's a Google away, like this idea of calling your congressperson, there's pretty much no chance of having the experience that you have if you were to call Fry's Electronics or the DMV or your own dentist. The people on the other end of the phone are like they're passionate about politics. Their job is to pick up that phone. Yeah. You're gonna get through it. It's okay to maybe even kind of only like maybe be figuring out what the fuck your problem is. Like a little bit, right? You'd recommend not doing that, not using it as a therapy session, but at the same time, I think the thing that keeps me in line is this fear of I'm just going to feel stupid.
I mean, again, I think, well, first of all, you got to get through to the line because a lot of the times, like, especially on a big legislative vote, they're getting calls from like a billion calls at once. So, like, the line might get jammed, in which case then you can just quietly experience existential fear while you're on the hold line.
But it is kind of comforting, though, if something happens that you're watching CNN and your internet thing and you're like, I'm alarmed about this, and you pick up the phone and it's busy.
Yeah.
You kind of draw comfort from that, right? Like when there's a blackout or like the internet's out and like you call Time Warner and it's like, your call will be answered in 17,000 hours. And then there's like an edit in there. If you're calling about the fucking internet outage, we're dealing with it. That would be nice.
I mean, that is totally comforting because it does mean that a lot of other people have the exact same idea that you did. When that's always nice to know that. I mean, I think one of the reasons politics is so hard is because we all feel like a little bit like an island. And you're like, oh, I'm having all these thoughts or I'm having feelings about politics and I want to get involved. And it's like, it feels like it's super intimidating. Like it's so hard to do that first thing. And you don't want to go to the meeting and you're afraid that you'll be stupid. And like the truth is that we're all stupid. I'm stupid. Like I got called an activist. I'm not. I'm like crazy lazy. It's unbelievable how lazy I am. I just sit around and I write things and I have ideas. But I haven't been to like one of a political club meeting now in like a year because I'm like the laziest person. I was during the campaign and I did some phone banking, but I did it like the laziest way possible from my cell phone using the site because like Hillary created a site and you could just randomly phone call people from like all these different calls. I was like, this is perfect for me. I'm the laziest person in the world. I worked the floor below her campaign office.
I literally
and
landed.
I literally did not go inside of it.
So you're saying
months.
if you'd worked a little harder, Hillary would be in office right now.
Yeah, no. It's my fault.
We landed at LAX in the middle of the LAX, like when the travel ban went up, and we like landed there. Came out of first class. We had our luggage. Jeff had his suit over his shoulder, and we were like, "Oh, looks like a protest." And we hung out there. And then for the next 3 weeks, I wouldn't shut up about our responsibilities and then I bought a gun because I was just like, everything's changing. I want to shoot it for changing. What time is it?
We should probably thank Kaitlin for coming up here. Now. We have more important business to do right now.
You know what? I think they were being very classy and like didn't want to shout 9/11 like they always do at 9/11. That's very nice.
I think we
We're
live in a
very
world.
disappointed in the audience.
We live in a world. Caitlin, you think you're lazy for not making phone calls more? For these people didn't shout out 9/11 when it was 9/11.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I want to make sure there's an action item or something just for people who are more interested, still have more questions, all that stuff. Obviously, we've said your Twitter name, which is Gotham Girl Blue.
Yeah.
And Citizen
Zero Project.
Is that the Twitter handle or?
That's not my Twitter handle. That is the site. I literally just upgraded it with all the stuff that the nonprofit that I'm working on is going to do. I can't take donations yet. I'm hoping to do so as of August 1st. But there are literal projects that I'm working on. Whether or not that's creating discussion groups and training other people to lead them, whether that is creating the online portal and the app so that way you can do more passive citizenship and you don't have to actually collect all that news by yourself because that sucks, or whether or not it's creating a K-8 curriculum because I'm working on getting kids to understand that they're citizens so that way you build the habits early and then you don't have to worry about doing it as an adult because you've already been doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, well,
Let's hear for Kaitlin Byrd, everybody.
Look her up, and she'll be back, and we'll continue to maybe how we can help you in Los Angeles. We'll be like sister cities.
Sister cities.
Figuring that out. All right, thank you, Kaitlin.
Thank you, Kaitlin.
The rest of the show will make no sense to you, but but you can go watch it with Ronald, unless you've been listening.